Slide fucking 1 GCR trade review. I'm excited. All right, I actually just made a post about the first slide.
Okay.
And how basically GCR on it said like long every exploit. And there was like a lot of like, what if you longed Luna right after it crashed? Like maybe don't long every exploit, but it's like a good rule of thumb. What's your take on it?
Well, what's funny is he shorted Luna. So clearly you don't long every single exploit, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think one thing that GCR was unbelievable at was predictive kind of analysis. Um, my view of him, and we've conversated before in DMs and stuff like that, is that he operated much more on like, you know, predictions, human emotion, sentiment analysis, more so than like purely technicals, which is how I would trade, right? Like I'm trading based on the chart solely. He's got a very, very keen eye and skill for predicting human nature. He had a career, is my understanding, in like political handicapping and things of that nature. So DeFi exploits, right, were kind of like, what's a good analogy for that this cycle? It would almost be like the dev yeeting their stack in a meme coin.
Okay.
Like where if the coin was good, that sell-off was short-lived, right? It got bought back almost immediately, or like a whale jeeting, and then the market immediately rebounds. So like DeFi exploits were kind of like baked in the cake almost already. So they would cause this short-term panic, this big spike down, and then generally quickly recover afterwards, right? Because at the end of the day, the protocol's not blowing up. Like it's not over. It reminds me a lot of like wartime nukes. So anytime there's like people talking about, oh, dude, Iran might, bomb Israel or vice versa, and then there's some sort of action happens, right? And then the market nukes, and then it bounces back after, and it's like back where it started, or it goes up, and it's the theory is quite simple. It's like if war doesn't happen, it was a good dip to buy,
Yeah.
right? If war does happen, we got bigger fucking problems than worrying about the coins. You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's like that kind of gamble. So it's like assuming in this instance, Cream Protocol is not going to implode and it's not over, even though it's been exploited for, some millions of dollars. It's probably going to come back to a fair value. And there was an overreaction on the downside, an emotional reaction by people.
Okay. I mean, like, you actually mentioned this, and I want to, Elliot, you better lock in on this one. One of my biggest questions that I've had after, like, going through this whole slide, obviously we'll go through and, like, I'll probably have some more questions, is, like, what do you think, like, the pillars of thought are that, like, GCR is using? Like, is it sentiment? Is it, like, time in the market? Is it volume? Because, like, he longs and shorts a lot, and, like, in like further in the slides, you'll see like he predicts a Bitcoin like 40% retrace over like a week span. And I'm like, what leads you to predict that?
I mean, it could be a lot of things. I don't know how much he uses technical analysis, if at all,
Right.
in his analysis. It could be purely based on his view on the sentiment of the market, positioning of other large players, things that are going on in the macro environment. Um, One thing I noticed, right, is like this has some of his like most phenomenal trades, but like GCR is not always right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he'll be the first to admit that as well. Kobe gets this a lot as well, is where we have these guys who are like OGs who, oh my God, this guy tweeted something and it's exactly what happened. And then they get kind of deified, where it's like, oh, well, this person can never be wrong. This guy's making, kind of asymmetric bets on the market. And I think what his strategy largely seems to be centered around is human emotion and reading sentiment and being really good at predicting how humans are going to react to certain situations. I would say that is his talent that is like above anything I've ever seen.
So would you say like a lot of it is like revolving around hold up. Would you say a lot of it is revolving around like game theory?
For sure, 100%. And doing it for a long time, being around the market for a long time, like he was in the market for years, just not public.
Yeah.
Right. So I found him on Twitter and I DM'd him. This was like in 2020 or 2021. I was like, are you the like real GCR? And he's like, yeah. And I like gave him a follow for follow like 5 years ago. and his account blew up from there, and he started just like spitting mad game. And to me, it's like that's what's so awesome about Twitter is you can get like a 9-figure dude who's just gonna like fucking
Casually just give you like
spit free game, bro. Like that doesn't exist in any other market where you can just talk to like the top 1% of the 1% in your space just by tweeting at them.
dude, it's insane. I mean, like I got you on stream from a DM, buddy. Like it's kind of
Brother.
insane. It's kind of insane. All right, let's go to this next slide. I didn't really capture like the essence of this slide, honestly.
So Doge to $1 is like a meme, right?
Yeah, of course.
There's a part of psychology in trading. It's like the rule of round numbers. So humans, like we're really drawn to certain things. One of them being these things we call like psychological levels, big round numbers. Bitcoin at 100K. That's a psychological number.
Yeah.
Why is 99K and 10? It just doesn't hit the same. 99K, nah. 99, 99, 99, nah. 100K, like that hits. 100K hits better than 101, even though 101 is higher. 100 is just like that level. And so Doge to $1 is that same psychological level. It's $1, right? For one Doge coin, it's $1. Doge used to be fractions of a penny, and now it's $1. This same thing happens with Doge and other altcoins, which is called like unit cost bias, where if something's like a low number, it's perceived as cheap, right? Like how much easier is it to go from 1 to 2 cents than it is to go from $10 to 20? It's the same percent gain. It's a double, but 1 to 2 cents just sounds easier, right? So Doge has always had this magnet towards $1. It's never hit it yet. I mean, even last cycle, which is what this long was from, I think we only hit about 80 cents. So I think
yeah, the SNL top.
Yeah, I mean, early for sure. I think this was like what, a call before a 10x here, right? Like he longed it around 4 cents, 5 cents, and traded it up to 50 or 60 cents. And then, topped up like the day Elon went on SNL and shouted out Doge. That was the top of the market. Kind of similar how this most recent top was Donald Trump launching a meme coin and becoming president.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so why do you think Elon going on SNL and like talking about Doge was like the top for it, right? Is it like just because there's no more catalysts after that, or
sorta? Yeah, I mean, like how much more
attention can
because
something
all
have?
meme coins trade on is attention, right?
Yeah.
Like Dogecoin doesn't do anything.
100%.
Like at some point, chill guy no longer became interesting. It lost its attention. Same with Whiff. Like Whiff that's why like Fartcoin, out of the most recent meme coins that has had the biggest rip over the last few weeks, it's the one that still is able to garner the most attention.
Yeah.
And at some point there's like diminishing return on like like Elon was tweeting about Doge and it would go up 10-20%. I know like guys like GCR, they had like Twitter trackers, and like if Elon would say something about Doge, much like meme coin guys have this cycle, you could long Doge anytime he said something about it and it would go up. Now we have the Department of Government Efficiency, which Elon runs. He tweets about it all the time and it doesn't affect the price of Doge whatsoever.
Yeah.
So you get this like kind of diminishing returns after a while, and for Dogecoin, at least at the time, it seemed like that was as big as we could have gotten. Everyone was like, is he going to say it on SNL? And then he did, and that ended up being the top.
Yeah, it doesn't really get much better than that.
I mean, Aiden Ross literally called it on stream when everyone was like, well, Solana, like, we're just getting going. And he's like, bro, like, who's bigger than the president? And he was right. Like,
I mean, he made a good point. There
was no bigger catalyst than literally the president launching a meme coin on Solana to basically top the market and the trenches. Kind of poetic.
It is kind of poetic. Let's hit the next slide.
Doge always has had this $1 target, and anytime it starts to get near it, you're going to hear that target kind of come around again.
Of course. Okay.
This is a classic.
Liquidations are a forced transfer of wealth from impoverished traders who need leverage to wealthy spot buyers. Did you capitalize? Can you sort of explain what's happening here?
So when your open interest and your funding are going up, and in this case, they're reaching unsustainable levels, generally that means that there's a lot of leverage built up in the market. Okay. Because funding, right, and open interest are both functions of leverage in the market. Specifically funding, you have to pay funding in order to have that perpetual contract. This is going to get super technical and people don't care, but basically when you see BTC perp, this means it's a perpetual future contract. So it's a futures contract without an expiration date. So if you're trading in the traditional market, you might be trading, you know, a contract for the ES, like the S&P 500, but it has an expiration date. So part of the fee that you're paying is this time decay. At some point, there's going to be a point in time where the actual price and that futures price meet when that contract expires. So there's a premium or a discount built in there. When you have a perpetual contract, there is no expiration date. It's perpetual. So funding is something that has been introduced as a way to kind of mitigate the difference between the spot price and the perpetual futures contract price. It can be in backwardization or contango. Nobody really needs to know this stuff, but I'll tell you anyways. So when funding is getting frothy, something you'll always see on Twitter, generally that means that there's like leverage built up in the system. OI's up, funding is super high. Maybe there's a lot of longs, maybe there's a lot of shorts. It's not enough to create a trade idea, but you can use it in confluence with some other stuff. So generally what you'll see...
Is there somewhere you go to like see like perps, like to see how many like longs and like shorts are in the market?
Yeah, what's beautiful about crypto is all of this information is available to you, tier 2, tier 3 data. Like you can see, you know, like all of this info. There's velo charts, there's a bunch of free resources, paid resources where you can see this stuff. Okay. I personally don't use it at all. I don't look at funding, I don't look at OI. I will look at the difference between spot and futures. Okay. So generally a really strong move, the spot price. So the price for BTC USD spot is higher than the futures price. That means spot buying, right? Whenever we saw big inflows from the ETFs, the spot price would be leading, right? And that's a good sign of a move. What you don't want to see the move be led by is perps, because that means it's a bunch of leverage donkeys like me chasing the move. And so effectively what happened here is we got overcooked. Bunch of leverage was running in, you know, was running up the market. Funding and OI was getting crazy. And usually you get a crash after that to wipe out a bunch of the leverage. You get one of those big wicks where it's like, oh my God, $1 billion was liquidated from crypto. You know, that's all leverage. You can't get liquidated if you're trading spot. So his entire point here is if you are patient and you have enough capital, you can take advantage of these leverage traders by buying when they get wiped out. You can be the person who they have to sell. They're forced to liquidate, and you can be the strong hands, the wealthy spot buyer that they have to sell into. So spot, I mean, leverage is a great tool if you know how to use it. If you're getting licked, you shouldn't be. But that's kind of what he's going after with this post here. He's buying the liquidation dump.
Okay. How would you be able to tell when futures, whatever it may be, are like prevalent in the market, like they're like really, really heavy?
So if we're going up,
yeah,
if the futures price is higher than the spot price, that's a sign that there's a lot of leverage, right?
Okay.
Pushing price up.
Yeah.
People are buying on leverage more so than buying with spot. You can also check spot volume. You can go and check what is the open interest right now on BTC perps. Is it really high? If it's really high, it generally means there's a lot of leverage built up. You can check things like funding, right? Are longs paying shorts, are shorts paying long? And then you can use that in confluence with the chart itself, right? So if we're coming up to a major level of resistance, price has been going up aggressively. It's at the tail end of what you believe a move is, and OI is high, and futures are leading. That might be a sign that we're due for a bit of a correction, a bit of a wipeout.
Interesting. Okay, bet.
Woke made $4 million on sushi today. Shaved most of my position at 20 meme resistance. Again, round number resistance, right? $20.
Yeah.
We'll look to add back if we see an SR flip. Bid 300,000 on rare Grimes NFTs. Still get outbid last minute by something. So I mean, here he just cooked along. I don't see much to it here other than he Giga Chad made $4 million in a single trade.
Yeah.
I mean, the notional size on this trade was $3 million basically, and he rode it from what I can assume. I mean, he made $4 million, and his position size, if I'm reading this correctly, was 3 million. So he actually probably longed somewhere below $12 because he did more than double.
Interesting.
But this is just another example of like big round numbers, right? People are going to be attracted to round numbers, like $20. That's a good selling point. Like Fart Coin, if it hits $1, right? Good selling point. Popcat, I think, popped $2.
Later in these slides, he references it as like a shell number, which is like a point like in game theory. So you think these shell numbers are like they're like good tells on like whether they're like good tells on like human nature basically. So like
100%, bro.
So like reaching $1 for Doge or like reaching $1 for Fartcoin, like once it reaches there, you should be expecting a sell off, honestly.
Yeah, at some point, it's no different than how a trend line works. So if you have like a trend line, can you see this line I just drew? Does that show up on the screen share or no?
No.
Okay, that's fine. But imagine there's a trend line below all these lows, right?
Okay.
That trend line exists because everyone sees it.
Yeah.
If everyone sees the trend line and goes, this should be support, and they all buy there, guess what? It's going to be support because everyone's looking at the same line. So part of TA is literally human psychology. Everybody's looking at the same chart saying, hey, this is a good level here. So when everyone's looking at $1 on, Fartcoin or $20 on sushi, and they say, hey, I want to exit at 20, big round number, that will cause a sell-off there because so many people, it will create the level. It's very similar to like psychology with sales, right? Like you go into Walmart or Costco or fucking Loblaws, whatever you have in America there, and it's like, okay, this isn't a $10 thing. This is $9.99. Like, why does $9.99 sound cheaper than $10? It's the same. Right? And it's all human nature. It's human psychology. And to me, this works on that same kind of part of the brain.
So like if the shell number that they're like looking for is like $20, should I be looking at exit like between 19, 18, like something like that?
Yeah. If you think everyone's gonna get, because what's the next number?
Yeah.
Like 10 was the one before
$1
that, right?
to $10, right? Like.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, it all went all the way from 10 to 20. The next number's not till 30. Maybe if it gets to 18, 19, I'm gonna sell. And if you would have sold at 18 or 19, you got out pretty here. Right?
Valid. Interesting. Okay.
Man, these are all FTX screenshots. So this is just like a little triggering me here. Exceptionally rare, I'll short alts in these conditions, but here's a 7 million gift from Alex Dreyfus to my balance. Not expecting to short the exact top, but I'm ready to hold this for months if necessary. Nearly impossible to liquidate me. 99.8% certain this Ponzi retraces below 10 cents in the coming bear market. I mean, did this end up working out?
I don't know what that goon slide is, by the way.
I mean, yeah, we'll analyze that separately. Yeah, I mean, listen, he shorted what looks to be like the Pico top of this thing, and he's just saying this is a parabolic blow off the top. He's got so much margin available that he can't get liquidated. Is what he's saying. He's like, I'll hold this motherfucker even if it goes up and squeezes me. I've got too much money. Eventually it's going to implode because all of these things do. Every single altcoin basically ever eventually goes down like 99%, and that's basically what he's alluding to here. Yeah. He's like, this thing's had its run. The next thing that happens after this parabolic ascent is fucking collapse. Go look at any altcoin chart 3 months ago. They looked like this. Look at where they are now. They've completely retraced the entire move.
Interesting. I think I saw a stream with Ansem basically saying the same thing. So like most altcoins, like obviously like most altcoins follow Bitcoin, right?
Most altcoins are a derivative of Bitcoin. They're an alternative to Bitcoin, altcoin, right? But they're just like giga derivatives. So they're extremely volatile up or down, but most of them are just complete vapor fugazi bullshit. No matter what people tried to tell you, they're all fucking dog shit vaporware. And eventually, over a long enough time period, they pretty much all go to zero. So yeah, GG's. I don't know what's going on here. Yeah. Did he like this tweet?
I guess he did, bro. I don't know.
GCR gooning for Moon.
Gooning for Moon. Moon boy for real.
Human after all. There you go. So, I mean, he was underwater for a day. Next tweet, he's up 2 million. So he shorted, covered some at 55 cents. So this thing dropped 40%, bounced, he reshorted again, and printed like ungodly.
I mean, this one looks pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. Giga Chad. I think he did the exact same thing here on Phil. Same thing again here. Shorted where? It went up to 236. Where did he short? Right at 200.
Dude, I feel like GCR. I feel like GCR is like the original aura farmer. Like he's like, oh, remember to never short in a bull market. Whole time he's shorting and just printing.
Yeah. I mean, the guy was quite pathetic with some of his stuff. Like he fucking crushed a lot of stuff.
Interesting.
I'm sure his Luna short is in here somewhere, and that's one of the greatest trades ever.
I'm interested to see it. Let's go to the next slide.
Yeah, again, this is complete parabolic ascent on the 4-hour chart. That's unsustainable. And then if you look at the date here, this is April. This is when Bitcoin topped. So
do you think he was just timing the short with Bitcoin's top, or like what?
100%.
Okay.
Another one, same thing. Look at what do all these have in common? Like 7 or 8 straight green 4-hour candles where price went up like, multiples. It's not sustainable.
Interesting. Is there traditionally like a time frame where like, okay, now we've experienced X amount of like green candles, so now would be a good time to drop a short in?
There's not if it was that easy, right? Like where it's like, oh, it's 5 candles, better short it.
Yeah, exactly.
But generally, once price starts getting parabolic, which is like vertical on the higher time frames, so 4-hour, 12-hour, the daily, the weekly, you know that a correction is coming.
Yeah.
That being said, look at Dogecoin here. This is the 12-hour chart. Each of these candles is 12 hours. Like vertical, pullback, vertical again, pullback, vertical again. So he told anyone who would listen many years that Doge would entrench itself as the top 5 before Elon, before TikTok. Almost thought I was memeing. I was dead serious. Expect Doge to be a top 5 in 2023. Correction soon, though. Again, price got vertical, corrected right near 50 cents, big round number. So, yeah, I mean, Doge, he was pretty epic for Doge here.
Are we sure this guy isn't from the future?
A lot of people are about to lose money. This was literally the
Pico
top. I shorted this too, though. I just didn't make nearly as much money as him. To me, this was very like the same way that I knew the top was in this most recent cycle is like once we start losing kind of the structure and this kind of.
So are you looking at TA?
Yeah, I used TA to call the last 3 tops.
Okay.
And you have a high, a slightly higher high, a slightly higher high. It's kind of like 3 drives. And then you have that breakdown that lost all of your structure. That next bounce to 60K was your get the fuck out opportunity.
Interesting.
But yeah, this is pretty epic to send the tweet out. I tweeted that I bought a Rolex the exact day that we topped. So that's my fucking lore.
That's pretty elite lore.
There's a genuine, widely held belief that in a bear market that during the next cycle alts wouldn't or would barely pump because the market would mature. A common meme was institutions won't buy your bags. Well, we know that's bullshit. Like seriously, people believe this. Dog season always. This is just showing. This is what alt season is when Bitcoin dominance rolls over. So I'm going to pull up a separate screen here.
Okay.
What do you see now? Do you see my chart or still the presentation?
I just still see the presentation. You're probably sharing like
so I'm gonna
just a screen.
Switch over to a chart here. 1 sec.
Go for it.
Change stream. So he's showing the Bitcoin dominance chart here. Okay. This chart represents basically how much of the market is, being dominated, for lack of a better term, by Bitcoin. Really what this means very simply is when this is going up, Bitcoin is leading. And when this is going down, altcoins are generally stronger. This chart is effectively the inverse of Ethereum BTC. Right? Like if you look at Ethereum BTC and then I turn this upside down, which I do there, same chart, right?
It is the exact same chart.
Because Ethereum was effectively the proxy for altcoins for a very long time.
Yeah.
So everyone's and their mom has been telling you alt season is happening, it's happened, it's around the corner. All the while, Bitcoin dominance has gone like this. Meaning that for the majority of this cycle, since 2022, when the market bottomed, Bitcoin has been the most dominant asset. It does not mean that there hasn't been periods of times where altcoins have gone up more. Look at WIF, for example. WIF had a crazy run. But if you look at WIF versus Bitcoin, it only outperformed Bitcoin for a very small period of time. But on the whole, it's getting smoked by Bitcoin. Same with Solana. Solana crushed Bitcoin for a while, right? Like there was a bunch of months here in this market cycle from June until, March of 2024, basically a year straight where Solana was kicking the shit out of Bitcoin. Now it's looking like not so much. And over a long enough time period, Solana not even close to all-time high versus Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So what Bitcoin dominance represents is exactly that. It's like, okay, when Bitcoin dominance rolls over, that's going to be a period of time where en masse, altcoins are going to be outperforming Bitcoin. That's alt season. We have not had an alt season. So anyone who's told you we're in alt season is here, is an idiot. Alt season does not happen here. Alt season happens here. Alt season happens here. When Bitcoin dominance is getting absolutely smoked,
Elliot,
and it
this.
also generally lines up with the top of the market. So you'll get Bitcoin top and then altcoins top shortly after. So last cycle, for example, Bitcoin topped, Ethereum did a 2x in a month, everything ripped for a little bit, and then everything died. So we haven't really had our traditional alt season for people who are looking for some hopium because Bitcoin dominance hasn't rolled over yet. So there'll be a period of time once this eventually rolls over that alts en masse outperform Bitcoin. Does that mean every single altcoin goes up? No. And does that mean that all of your coins are going back to all-time high? Highly unlikely. But if you're in some dog shit, if you see some dog shit like this, that's down 99% from all-time high.
Yo, don't do this to Thread right now.
Sorry, my boy. That's what happens when you don't respond to my text. I shit on your coin. I'm just kidding. But something like this that is down so much, like this thing can pull a 5x, 6x, a 10x during alt season. But that's only helpful if you have money to buy it when it's beaten to shit.
Yeah.
If you're holding this thing from $1, you're probably never getting out at break even ever. Okay? So that's what he's talking about here, that everyone's always going to tell you that there's no alt season or alt season's different or it's coming. Alt season occurs when Bitcoin dominance goes down, and it's happened every time, and I'm going to assume it's going to happen again this time once Bitcoin dominance finally rolls over.
When was it, like, we've never seen it like this before, have we? Again, right?
We will. It's just a matter of time. Bitcoin, the one saving grace could be that this just means Bitcoin hasn't topped yet. Maybe. But maybe this time is different. The state of the market is so different with I still do believe, just like he's saying in this tweet, the casino's going to remain open, bro. I don't think that part has changed.
I agree.
This is just another perfect example of using a big round number. Ethereum hit 4K. He exited. The top was like 4,400. And what he says here, this is exactly what I mentioned in the last tweet. ETH was running while Bitcoin was topped. So Bitcoin was starting to go down, and ETH basically pulled a double. Then it hit 4K, big round number, probably the top for ETH and alts in general. So he exited his bag here at 4K. Pretty epic.
Somebody in chat said, ask if we're starting to see like maybe a peak of alt season today because Sol is breaking resistance while Bitcoin isn't.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Like there's been periods of time throughout this cycle where alts have outperformed Bitcoin. Like there's been tons, right? Like there's been tons. Look at Fartcoin over the last 3 weeks versus Bitcoin. Fartcoin went from like 20 cents to almost $1. Does that mean it's alt season, or does that just mean that Fartcoin's outperforming Bitcoin? It's the same thing when people say, oh, stocks went down and Bitcoin didn't. We're decoupling. More likely than not, that's not the case. You'll know it's alt season because Bitcoin dominance is going to nuke Bitcoin isn't going to be going up. It's going to be at best going sideways, potentially even going down. And then altcoins are going to go up. And it will be quite apparent. It's not going to be like this tiny little divergence that you're potentially seeing.
Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, Chadley, prediction I made back in August of 2020. He's pulling out the Discord screenshots. My God,
this is insane. He's
like
the aura
no
farming god, dude.
Old prediction I made in August 2020 about Sheeb under the moniker True Shiba. Am I a billionaire though? Somewhat not. If you put like 20 ETH into Sheeb and wait 5 months for full blown, you might be worth 40 million. 4K ETH would have been 40 million. So, I mean, I think this was just Giga Chad call, Shiba Inu being a derivative of Doge, right? The first real major dog derivative.
Yeah.
GG's.
GG's in the chat,
20
bro.
ETH, 2 ETH, which at the time, by the way, was $4,000, which is more than what 2 ETH is worth right now, which is kind of sad.
Fucking 4 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago. Crazy.
Oh, no.
Sometimes the market gives you free money. So he's shorting Doge. This guy just says question mark covered. This is the Elon Musk on SNL top.
Yeah.
This is to the day. This is exactly, I imagine, let me just check. May 8, 2021 was what day? I assume this was a Saturday. It was a Saturday. So that was Elon. I actually shorted this as well with my homeboy Loma. I can go aura farm my Discord screenshots as well. We were just like, dude, this is a max short spot, right? And we are just like, yeah, but I obviously didn't make $2 million.
Dude, this is like, he might be the goated aura farmer.
He's
this
up
is
there,
disgusting.
Bro. He's like, there's a lot of guys who are unbelievably impressive. He's one of them. Like, Kobe's incredible, right? But Kobe has also just been around for so long. I would venture to say that the majority of Kobe's money was made just from owning Bitcoin and so much of it for so long. I don't know that for sure. I could be completely wrong. But I would estimate a large part of his wealth, and he's admitted, like, he's not an expert trader by any means, and especially not recently. He's like, I don't have a good read this cycle. Whereas a guy like GCR, I think, was much more of a tactician. Actively trading. I've got a friend of mine who goes by Sat Bomba. I've posted about him before. Who's like a 9-figure dude who's like similar to GCR, dude. He's just like a gigabrain, and he'll just like send me a chart and be like, dude, just long this. And I'm like, I don't know. And I'll come back and it's up like 80%, and I'm just like, how did you know? And he's like, you just need to like trust me. It was written in the clouds. I'm like, okay. Like, he's just like on another level.
It was written in the clouds is the craziest shit I've ever heard.
Dude, it's insane. It's insane. You were hustled. This would be a DeFi bull cycle and bought inflationary governance tokens with endless unlocks. Retail never understood collateralized lending Ponzi's. You should have watched more BitBoy. Well, he's in jail now. And you would have understood. They just want to buy dog stocks. Effectively, what he's saying here is that this is a really good example of what has happened this cycle. With, at the end of the day, like, it was just all about meme coins. Because back in like 2017, we had these things called ICOs where people would write a white paper and like, dude, my altcoin is going to be the altcoin that all dentists use to pay for dental work. And we've partnered with the Dental Academy of the blah, blah, blah. And they all have these partnerships and there's white paper. They do a big pre-sale. And then it's basically just like a slow rug once it launches. And then last cycle, we had the DeFi lending collateral Ponzi's where they all sounded very fancy and crazy, but most of them were just rugs. They were VC-backed rugs where you were getting nuked on infinitely with these inflationary tokens. And at the end of the day, you should have just bought the dog coins, right? Which outperformed all of these DeFi coins. And then this cycle, you kind of have the culmination of all that where it was like, they're just meme coins. They don't even pretend to do anything. Dog with hat is just a dog with a hat on it. There's no white paper. There's no promise of utility. It's just straight up fucking a funny picture. And that's kind of what I believe this alludes to. Where a lot of these things were just vapor. You know, they're just turds painted in gold. At the end of the day, it's still a turd. This was another incredibly easily short opportunity, as easy as SNL Doge. So that goes back to his SNL Doge short. We were correct about that. FTX adds ICP ETP futures for large players to hedge, while the only reasoning a tiny amount of circulating supply on exchange, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is something that our good friend Rasmer has talked about, right? With the Binance cabal being like, why the hell are they adding perps for some of these coins and not spot listings, right? This is kind of the same idea here. So this stuff, this game has been going on a very long time.
Can you explain why Binance adds perps before spot listings?
So I'm not like an expert on this by any means, but if you have a large spot position of a altcoin and you want to exit it, knowing that you own so much of it, it's going to crater the price. How are you able to get out and mitigate some of your loss? So think of someone like Murad, right? Murad's wallet was publicly doxxed, and you're like, how the hell is he ever going to exit some of these coins? He owns 3% of this coin, and if he starts to sell, so many people are watching that wallet, they're all going to nuke on his head, right?
Yeah.
Well, if he's able to short that coin via futures and then sell spot, even though the price is dropping and his spot is losing value as he sells, he's making money on his short. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah.
So this cabal collusion shit, like that was one of the conspiracy theories about Murad, is like he's actually either shorting these coins on perps and, you know, unloading, or he's offloaded his spot to someone and some sort of a deal. And because that to me was the only way. It's like, how else are you going to get out without cratering the thing? And this is kind of what he's alluding to, what he's speaking about here.
Yo, Elliot.
This guy was way ahead of his time. But it's kind of crazy that, you know, Rasmer figured out what GCR figured out just, you know, 5 years later.
Hey, Rasmer's new gen GCR.
Who knows where Rasmer's going to be in 5 years' time? I'm excited to see.
The GOAT.
Really is. Although this tweet aged incredibly well, just fucking licking his own nutsack here. Sentiment has now bottomed on ETH5. The perception is these blue chip Ponzi's will never pump. I'm now bullish DeFi ETH ratios, which I view as safer than DeFi USD, and have begun to scale into these positions. ETH5 season soon. So this kind of goes to my point that he's very much someone who's looking at sentiment. And he's watching Twitter, and he's reading, and he's in chat rooms, and he's saying, okay, people are mega bullish, mega bearish on this, that, and the other thing. And he's basically taking the other sides of those bets, right?
So you think he's going into these like chat rooms, monitoring Twitter, and basically inverse trading most people?
100%. The herd is generally wrong, right?
Interesting.
Like, think of how loud people got about Fartcoin over the last week, and it never went above 92 cents. No one was talking about it a month ago at 20 cents.
Except Rasmer.
Except for Rasmer and fucking Dip Wheeler. But he was talking about it no matter what.
Yeah.
But then now, how many tweets have you seen about hot air rises over the last 7 days? When now it's that basically was the top of this last move.
Not a lot.
Right? So similar idea here, but this guy's just a master of it. Really, really good. Impressive stuff. I mean, every one of these screenshots is like a couple $1 million. He's got to be up to like 30, 40 million already.
Dude, it's the nuttiest shit I've ever seen.
I don't know if he's a billionaire yet, but
no, he's definitely a billionaire. He's like on-chain billionaire.
Quite close, if not already. I don't know if this is serious, but I was already turbo long sushi to 100 on my own. So let's do this. Not financial advice. You'll get wrecked copying Twitter LARPs.
Him calling himself a LARP and then cooking a $2 million P&L is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how well this trade worked out because this never came anywhere near $100. Some
of these he actually was wrong on, like a few of these.
Yeah, again, this is not, no one is trying to take a shot at GCR here, like obviously one of the greatest of all times, but you can't DFI anyone, right? Because everyone gets stuff wrong.
100%.
Everyone gets stuff wrong eventually. 20-ish bucks was the giga top for sushi. And if this is May 2021, this was the top of the entire market. So very dangerous game to be longing up here.
Disgusting.
3 weeks later, everything was down 60, 70%. I've been scaling into a Sheeb short. Again, May 11th. If you go look at the Bitcoin chart, this is the top on Bitcoin. So he's taking coins that have parabolically run while Bitcoin's topping out and saying, I think that the run's over, altcoins are going to overperform to the downside. So he's saying this thing's gone insane. It's got a limited shelf life because it's not the OG Doge, and it can be replaced by another dog. And he basically shorted somewhere near the top, shorted right around the 30 handle, and made another $4 million.
This kid is nasty, dude.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
He has like the most goated aura farm here in the next few slides.
Yeah, I mean, shorting Bitcoin, I was bearish on Bitcoin here as well. A lot of people were. I didn't short almost 1,000 of them, but 30 million is fucking big boy size. But yeah, basically, this is the second time he shorted the top. His last time he said he shorted on April 17th. Now he's shorting again, on May, and again was right at the top.
I mean, we already kind of touched on this, but if you had to define like 3 pillars of thoughts that GCR normally uses to amongst all of his trades, what would they be? Like
I think he does use some technicals. Clearly, he looks at the charts, he sees if things are parabolic, or maybe if they're oversold, like they're massively sold off.
Okay.
So I think he does that. He very clearly does cross-market analysis, so he's looking at coins versus other coins, and determining when to be weighted in one thing or one basket, whether it be DeFi, whether it be meme coins, and then I would say sentiment analysis is probably the other one.
Interesting. All right, sentiment analysis, cross-market analysis, and technical analysis. Guy's just an analyst.
Would be my gauge. I mean, I could be completely wrong. Maybe he's got a crystal ball. Who knows? It sure seems like it. I sold 99% of my Doge, so should you. I anticipate the Doge Armory will get proper excited about this information. Long Doge heavy, but ready to pull if BTC rugs. I mean, BTC did rug right after this. Not much to go into on that one. If you're longing specific alts right now, whether due to asymmetric information edge, so that's something that he uses. Strong intuition, another thing I'd say he uses. You'd be wise to find hedges to mitigate your broader market risk. Consider shorting weaker alts against your favorite plays. So this altcoin index perpetual futures was basically a synthetic basket that represent alts as a whole. And he was basically saying this chart looks like it's about to puke. So if you're long a bunch of altcoins, you're about to get smoked.
Interesting. He also he puts technical analysis in like quotations as if like
so maybe he's not using that at all,
insinuating he doesn't really believe in it.
Yeah, maybe he's calling it cap.
Yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
2-tweet thread. Let's have some fun with arbitrage. We're about to get big brain here. So I also knew that GCR had, and he would say this, he had information asymmetry. Like he knew things. He knew what coins Binance was going to list or Coinbase was going to list before they did. He had connections, inside information, right? Whatever you want to call it. He had it. And that's effectively, an advantage if used properly, right? Like,
right.
Way back in the day, in like 2013, 14, I remember being on Twitter, and these guys would run these pump and dumps. Some of these guys are still on Twitter. I won't name names, and they would know like what coin was about to get added to like MintPal or Cryptsy, which were like some of the big exchanges back then to trade altcoins on, and they would basically accumulate that coin. Right, knowing that as soon as it gets launched on that new exchange, it's gonna rip, and then they can already own it to then dump it, and they would, it's basically like helping facilitate a pump and dump. They'd tweet out, "I know what coin's about to be listed." When I tweet it, like fucking buy it, and then you became exit lick. So all these games that people are, saying other people play, but it's all been the same every single cycle. All this stuff has happened. It's just happening on a bigger scale instead of Twitter person A fucking Twitter person B back in the day. Now it's the president of Argentina fucking, half of the entire population of crypto Twitter. All the same, just a much larger scale.
Interesting.
So 2-tweet thread. Let's have some fun with arbitrage. Binance is opening up trading on Arweave in 3 hours. You should expect an opening wick on price far above spot on other exchanges. But if you don't want to take the risk of holding AR at this price, buy spot AR on short it on FTX, then deposit your AR on Binance, sell the wick, close your hedge
All right,
short.
this
There's
this
no.
this little blurb right here is slightly confusing. Can you like break it down?
So effectively, what he's saying is the price of um, AR is going to be disjointed between these three exchanges.
Interesting.
So by buying the spot on Huboy, right, and then shorting on the perps, you're effectively hedged, right?
Yeah.
You're effectively hedged, and then as it gets added to Binance, which he's now depositing
The AR he bought on
are over to
Hobie.
Binance, he's able to sell at a much higher price that it never reached on Huboy. It never got to that price. It spiked way higher. So he's selling at an artificially inflated price, arbitrage between the exchanges, and then he's hedged the entire thing by being short it on FTX. So there's no risk of losing money with this play other than minor slippage, but tremendous possible outside. This works with many listings. So this is very similar to what I just explained before from way back in the day. This is like a pretty rudimentary arbitrage opportunity. There's people who are arbing USDT versus USDC. Like when there's brief periods of disjointedness, it's like, oh, I can buy 1.001 USDC for 1 USDT. Okay, well, if I do that with size, all of a sudden I just made like a free $1,000. Like that's arbitrage. This is a bit more complex than that. But
do you think this still happens? Like, but does Binance still have a disjointed price? Like, I'm not sure.
I would have to check. That's not something I've ever really done. But I wouldn't be surprised if when Binance lists something, there's periods of time for arbitrage, for sure. I mean, go look at Peanut and the other thing that they fucking listed that went fucking ape shit. ACT.
Dude,
there's probably some arbitrage there. My sushi and Doge position largely carried me to another $3 million P&L. This guy must get sick of making all these fucking M's, dog. Sold most of my Doge at 58 cents. Too much resistance walls at 60. We'll be looking at another entry.
He's very big on this like human psychology like number thing.
Hell yeah, dude.
Interesting.
And it's working for him.
It's working huge.
Yeah, Elon pumping Doge. On a bullish must tweet, you want to sell into the pump, wait for the dump when auto rebuy bots take their profit, then buy the retrace. So, like I said, back then, Elon tweeting would instantly cause Doge to go up. And so effectively what he's saying is if you own Doge, you don't want to buy when Elon tweets. You actually want to be selling into that pump. And then once it pulls back and retraces, that's when you buy back in. Smart. In the short term, I expect DeFi projects to outperform the price of ETH, and this was the recommendation. So he's just comparing DeFi, an index of DeFi coins versus Ethereum. If this chart is bullish, that means the DeFi coins are stronger than ETH. It's just a directional call. So if like this was Sol BTC and it's going like this just means Sol is outperforming Bitcoin.
Now, can you buy these pairs?
Yeah, you can synthetically buy them, right? So if I wanted to long Fartcoin whiff,
right,
I could long Fartcoin, right?
Short whiff.
And I could short whiff.
Okay.
Now I'm long Fartcoin whiff.
Okay, interesting.
If I want to short Fartcoin whiff, I would sell Fartcoin, I would buy whiff at the same time.
Valid.
And you've synthetically created, because you just got to think about it as a fraction. You have fart. This is so funny. Fart USD, right? And then you have whiff USD.
Okay.
When you divide them by each other, the USDs cancel each other out. You're left with fart over whiff.
Interesting.
It's like grade 5 fractions for you, baby. I'm going to retweet what I said a few days ago. You've witnessed a lot of people getting hilariously rich the past few months, and you're chasing the dream. Many have gotten pretty wealthy, but your expectations shifted, and you're envious of those who made even more. But it's not February anymore. The risk of the market rising you is steadily increasing. There was a time to chimp out, but that moment has passed. Don't get psyoped by my positions. I'm hedged on my positions and protecting my capital. I mean, this is literally the pico top of the market. So, yeah, he's basically saying like, hey, dude, like it's not the time to be greedy anymore. Similar, he sent out a similar tweet to this when we dipped below, I think, 60K several months ago. And he's like, hey, there's still a bright future ahead. And then we went a little lower and everyone's like, GCR's washed. Like he said to buy and it went down. And then we doubled shortly after that. So this is like the inverse of that tweet.
Dude, it's a fucking profit.
Yeah, pretty impressive. I mean, who screenshotted all of these? This is like unbelievable levels of glazing going on. This guy's gargling the GCR nutsack. In the interest of people who didn't catch the obvious sarcasm, might get trying to copyright joke, the market is getting overly exuberant about the possibility that alts can swim on their own, survive Goblin Town for Bitcoin. In Goblin Town, everything will bleed. Basically, what he's saying here, and this is exactly what I said before, Bitcoin had topped already, and we had this brief alt season, right? So everyone who's praying for alt season, just know that when a true alt season occurs, that means we're about to go into a bear market for Bitcoin, and it's about to be over for everything. Goblin Town, everything dies. So that brief period of outperformance, while it's fun, it is brief. And when Bitcoin rolls, everything rolls with it. Alts cannot survive on their own. Extremely based. Fully out of this Solana trade, the short hedges turned out to be more profitable in the long position. I'd be very prudent to familiarize with hedging your positions. Yeah, I mean, this is something that for the average person, I don't think they do at all. I don't do a ton of hedging, but hedging is effectively like if you're long Solana from, you know, $100, right, and it's going up towards 200. And you think maybe 200 is resistance, but you don't think it's the permanent top.
Yeah.
You could short Solana at 200 to hedge your spot position from 100. That way, as price goes down and your spot loses value, you're making money on that short trade. That would be a way that you can hedge. You can get really complicated with the ways that you can hedge. If you hold Tether while Bitcoin is dropping, you're effectively like short Bitcoin. You're kind of hedged, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but there's a lot of ways you can do this, and he obviously was doing it quite expertly.
Dude, holy shit.
You really thought these complete and utter scams weren't going to fully nuke to the shadowlands of Goblin Town as soon as BTC broke structure? I mean, this is pretty relevant to right now. How many people told you that altcoins are going to be fine when Bitcoin dropped below 95K? And now
everybody,
all the people who have been telling you to buy altcoins because alt season's coming soon, like go look at Alex Becker. At least Alex Becker doesn't take himself seriously. Like he doesn't pretend to know what he's talking about. But like his tweets lead people to slaughter. He's been telling people to just buy good AI, good ETH, and good RWA tokens for like a year straight. Anything he suggested is likely down 80, 90%.
Interesting.
Right? And that type of stuff is, a little bit dangerous, right? So effectively what he's saying here is he thinks Bitcoin dominance is bottoming, which when Bitcoin dominance bottoms, and that was the bottom on Bitcoin dominance, that means whether or not Bitcoin's going up or down, it's dominating altcoins. And all of these coins are vaporware. And when Bitcoin goes to Goblin Town, everybody's invited. This is just another pure sentiment read from what I can gather. I mean, I can see some stuff on the chart here. We're retesting, support.
Yeah.
But in his mind here, sentiment was also max bearish on coins.
Wow.
It'd be pretty sweet if he sent out a text like this right now telling us to not freak out, huh?
Dude, I'd be
Don't worry, guys. Sentiment's super bearish. We're going to go up soon.
GCR nice. Tweet right there would be sick.
It would hit pretty good. He also told us ETH was going to 10K. So... still waiting on that.
Soon.
Yeah, you never know, man. He said one day. He never specified when, and I think I believe him. I don't think it's over for ETH yet.
I don't know. I'm pretty bearish ETH, but like I know nothing at all.
Dude, if ETH goes below 1,000, how can you not buy it?
I mean, you raise a good point. What could it go lower? Like I don't think so. Will Vitalik's ego allow that?
I mean, I've lost all faith in fucking Vitalik, that's for sure. Massive balance on most alts since my tweet advising to not capitulate in peak terror. Easier said than done, but it's a lot sharper to sell into hope than into fear. I've exit positions.
There's like few hours in between.
I mean, he's basically telling people like, hey, the cycle is topped. If you've done well, get the fuck out. You know?
Yeah, valid.
So it's really sad when Twitter loses people like this. I don't know if he was chased off the site by any means. I think he just didn't want to do it anymore. He basically, like this, to me, what GCR came and did last cycle was basically like a guy just like walking on, like pitching a perfect game and then just retiring and be like, all right.
GG's.
He doesn't need to be here.
I just hit a perfect 300.
And like, we've lost a ton of people like this. Like Degen Spartan was a really bright mind last cycle who shared a ton of really interesting and useful information. And people either get sick of it, and a large part of it is your guys' fault. I'm not saying you. I mean you guys watching. Because as someone with a lot of followers, dude, like I've got a thick skin, thick neck as well. But I don't even read the comments, but there'll be a point where I don't want to do it anymore. This might be the last cycle where I want to really actively post. I've helped hundreds of people, thousands of people make money. I've helped hundreds of people, dozens of people make millions of dollars. I've posted on this website for damn near 10 years. Eventually, I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. I don't care.
Yeah, you get kind of like there'll come a point when everyone gets witch hunted off this app. That's my take.
Look at Thread Guy. Thread Guy's like, dude, I don't even know if I want to come back. And I don't blame him. And he's only been here like for a few years, dude. And if you're like one of those guys who goes under someone who willingly is sharing free information and maybe they get something wrong or they do something whatever, and you're like the person going, oh, ha, ha, like you got fucking, like you are part of the problem. And you are part of the reason why a lot of these like really, really great people don't want to spend time on Twitter anymore because it's become unbelievably toxic. Now, actual scammers and scumbags and pieces of shit, like, yeah, go for it. But those people don't end up leaving. They stay. It's the good people that you end up chasing away who maybe made a mistake or they, you know, got something wrong and they just like GCR got fucking lambasted for that ETH 10K call. And that other one where we went down slightly, it's like, bro, this guy's shared this document is proof. So much unbelievable free game. The audacity that you fucking broke egg picture on Twitter would give him shit is insane. And this goes for so many people. Like, we're going to lose tons of good people. The quality of Twitter is so much shittier than this cycle than it was last cycle, which was even shittier than the cycle before. It's only getting worse the bigger it gets. And it's going to be a whole lot harder to find good signals amongst the noise because now we're propping up a bunch of idiots. But that's one of the best parts about the market corrections, to be honest with you, outside of the fact that everyone gets angry, is you get to see who is swimming with, you know, swimming naked once the tide goes down, the water goes down, whatever the fucking saying is. You see who actually knows what they're talking about and who was just someone who was permanently bullish and the market happened to be going up. I've been telling people forever that Murad's an idiot. Like, I've been saying this consistently for years. Murad blew up his last fund, lost tons of his friends and families and investors' money by being a perma bull the entire way down. How's the Murad list doing?
You know what I think? You know what I think would be based? I think if Murad drops a new list, that's my take. Because like you can't, realistically, no matter who you are, you can't stick by 10 coins for the rest of your life. Like they're not going to go up only, respectfully.
So then you got to ask yourself, what is his intention? Does he actually believe that these coins are going to go up?
Maine was just saying you're the fucking goat.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
How you doing, bro?
I can't hear you, but
he can't hear you, but he says you're the goat.
Yeah, that's my boy. But yeah, I mean, what's his intentions, right? Does he actually believe his own, like, is he sniffing his own farts and he's high on his own supply? Or does he have ulterior motives? So my advice for almost everyone is assume that anyone on Twitter telling you something has a financial upside in using you as like some form of exit liquidity. So if I'm tweeting about a coin, I'm filled lower than you are, and I'm looking to sell to you at a higher price.
I mean,
that
everything is PvP.
The case. But you're gonna be way better off just going into every situation with that mindset that everyone is a shark, nobody here is your friend, and you got to look out for number one.
Damn. Yo, Elliot, we might need that clip, bro. That was goated. Cut out the Rasmer part. That was fucking insane. No, I agree. I think at the end of the day, crypto is PvP. Like you can't expect to make like life-changing money off of someone else's conviction ever. Because the reason they have that conviction is because they bought lower than you at the end of the day.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, it's your money that you're risking at the end of the day. And I don't think it's very fiscally responsible to put your money behind someone else's idea unless you've kind of done the work yourself. And because like if they're wrong, they're losing money, but you're losing money, and maybe you weren't like in line with that idea. Now you're looking to blame someone else, even though you're the one who pressed the button. Like there are absolutely tons of scammers, grifters, people taking advantage of each other in Twitter. This is life. This happens in all aspects of life. Go outside, go into the business world, go out to the bar, go chat with women. Like everyone is out for theirs. Most people are 100% self-interested in every function of life. And for some reason, these people on Twitter, when someone ends up rugging or scamming, they're like, how could they do this? How could this happen? It's like, bro, everyone is out to get theirs. Like no one forced you to buy that coin.
I mean, I'll say this, right? Like me personally, I'm by no means rich at this point. I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. But I've made a stupendous amount of money, lost it, made it, lost it, made it, lost it on multiple occasions. And every time I did it, looking back now, is because I borrowed conviction from someone else. If I just stuck to my own shit and just like believed in the trades that I personally was making, then maybe it would have ended up differently. But borrowing someone else's conviction, first off, if you borrow someone else's conviction, you should not blame them under any circumstances. It's 100% your fault. Like they have their own beliefs, you should have yours. That's the take at the end of the day. But ideally, if you're really in it for the crypto game, you just stick around long enough to learn, and you don't so you can make your own informed decisions rather than being like, oh, this guy's the gospel. Like GCR is a goat, but like I'm not gonna lie. I would buy anything he fucking tells me to buy.
Trying to copy trade him was not necessarily easy though. Right?
Really?
It's easy in hindsight. Oh man, this was the top. He nailed it. In the moment, bro, you know how many people were screaming that we were gonna go to 100K? Everything's 2020 in hindsight, right? So it is hard to copy trade other people because you don't know what's going on. But always assume that everyone's trying to get something out of you, get something over you. Stop playing the victim. This is for crypto and for just your life in general. Stop being a fucking victim. It's never going to get you anywhere. Everything in your life, good and bad, is your own fault. So the sooner you come to terms with that, the more control you're going to have over your financial decisions, your decisions with your life, your relationships, everything. It's going to get way better. It's a superpower once you learn to control that. Realize that where you are is not a victim of your circumstance. It's a victim of your decision making, good and bad. And stop pocket watching. That's the other thing on Twitter that's gotten so bad. Outside of just the people being unbelievably toxic, they make it their entire personality to like point, like they're trying to like call people out. It's like, dude, like how about you worry about getting your own fucking money up? You know what I mean? Everyone's so fixated. This guy fucking made this much. This guy made this much. Like how much did you make, bro? None? Like maybe you spent an iota of that energy on your own shit. You might not be such a miserable whiny prick.
Yo, this guy's spitting fucking facts, man. You're the GOAT, dude. I completely agree. I don't know. I don't really understand why anyone would make their whole personality like,
bro, it's like there's
pointing
people
fingers.
we've elevated on this platform who are like Randall from Recess, bro. It's like, bro, this guy's like the worst. Like, why would you fucking think that this guy? But it's because it's way easier to be the victim. And this person's saying, like, Libra was a scam.
Yeah.
100%. You didn't have to buy it.
This is valid.
Like, that's it. And if you want to make an entire thread, like, I'm down. Do it. Make the thread, whatever. But at the end of the day, you still chose to bought it. You still chose to copy, borrow conviction, to use your words, of some stranger on the internet. And, like, now it's way easier to say, damn, maybe I shouldn't have bought the president of Argentina coin with, like, no regard for the risk. It's way easier to say, oh, look at all these people pointing a finger at this guy. I'm just gonna blame him because then I feel better about losing the money because now I'm blaming someone who's not me.
I mean,
It's
I'll
hard
say
to
this.
take accountability, but it's what you need to do.
I'll say this for Libra. I bought 100 Sol or something around that nature. No, I bought like 200 Sol at around like 2 bill, and went to the gym for some odd reason. I was like, this is a great time to go to the gym. Come back. I had to like call Mika to sell my shit because I'm down like fucking 50%. I mean like 100% my fault too. Like, why did I buy that shit at that price? Who knows? God knows.
No, I agree, bro. But the sooner you learn to just take accountability for your own shit, own your shit, bro. And that's fucking life, man. You're gonna do a lot of stupid shit.
I 100% agree.
But the enjoyment you get out of being right when it was your own idea, your own decision, and it worked, you held your plan, your conviction, that's awesome. That's a way better reward than being like, I just copy traded someone and it worked out.
Valid.
This is basically just saying like, as price gets higher and more frothy, the risk reward stops being as skewed from, longs to shorts. And yes, after the initial dump, the potential for more downside becomes less and less, and things get a little bit choppier. And so the risk of being just a bear and shorting every pop becomes a lot higher.
This was insane to me, by the way.
Yeah, this is the euthanasia coaster. We've all seen this chart. This is basically every fucking altcoin.
Like,
go look at any AI coin. This is it right now.
Crazy.
Going to trim shorts now. El Salvador could be a powerful catalyst. We'll see how price, just closed his shorts at the Pico Schmico bottom. Up, what is this, $7-8 million?
This kid, dude.
The market is maturing and separating the wheat from the chaff. Garbage shit cone memes are being flushed while actual productive assets, Kabusu, NFT, are being valued. This is truly decoupling. High-end art always served as a store of value. Expect Kabusu to go to 9 figures one day. I don't know if this actually happened, but basically he longed NFTs before the NFT bull run. Pretty chadly.
Dude.
I still think Crab City, people get chopped to death. What's really interesting is this bottom that he's showing here on the left looks a lot like the bottom we have right now on Bitcoin.
Huh.
So maybe that's
let's get some hopium in here, bro.
Maybe that's some hopium. I still think Crab City and people will get chopped to death trying to trade BTC, and alts look very weak. Yeah. Another few milli here, just light, I suppose. I feign humility, strike is a populist pose, and empathize with everyone's losses, but I think it's useful. Remember, there's someone on the other sides of your trades. This kind of goes back to what I just said, right? Like,
no, this is the craziest aura farm I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, bro. Like, he's basically he fucking, he effectively like you fumbled a baddie. And like you see him leaving the club with that girl, and he just looks at you and he's like, I'm sorry I had to do it to you, bro, but like
nah,
had to pick up the ball on the ground, bro. You fumbled, I'm here to pick it up. And trading's a zero-sum game, so for every buyer there's a seller. So someone bought the top, that means someone sold to them at the top, right? So he's just basically flexing, being like, I'm him. Like, I'm the one who sold into your hype, and I'll buy back from you way lower.
Sorry I had to do it to you.
Yeah, he's not sorry at all. Extremely bearish on Cardano, extremely bearish on the vast majority of other shitcoins. We haven't even smelled the sulfur of the Shadowlands. So he got bearish on Cardano. It doubled, but I imagine shortly after this thing fucking completely collapsed. Based on the date, it looks pretty accurate. I'm just texting the wife.
All good, man. I was texting my wife too.
Which one, you dirty dog?
Thread guy.
Oh, July 11th. That's actually my birthday.
Uh-oh.
Interesting. Believe this reference is to an ultimate cycle bomb, something that would be 1 to 2 more years old. Altcoin holders in disbelief as their tokens only dump despite strength in equities. Shouldn't plus in other risk assets eventually lift all tides? No. A closer look reveals small caps have lagged for months as money rotates into quality stocks, still nowhere near an alt bottom. You have to think, and this is something that Bitcoin and altcoins are suffering with right now because risk assets, equities, are down a ton. If there is a certain amount of money in the system, and you're trying to determine where to allocate that capital, it's one thing to try and allocate it into altcoins and Bitcoins. Like, this stuff is quite far down the risk curve. But when you have things like Tesla, Amazon, like sick NVIDIA, legit revenue producing companies down 30, 40, 50% from their highs, it makes your stuff further down the risk curve even less attractive. And effectively what he's saying here is that money was rotating into quality instead of into the dog shit. And a lot of people are going to have that same realization here is even when the market bottoms and Bitcoin starts to go back up, a lot of stuff won't. And that's just how it is. All of these coins are dog shit.
RIP Zero, bro.
Yeah, rip. I'll know it is far, far, far away. People won't even bother asking when we're close. We've only lightly touched down in Goblin Town on a multi-year journey that should lead us into the Shadowlands and beyond.
Even the strongest coins had another 50% loss in them. That's such a bar.
Man, I remember when ETH was below $100. Crazy. In response to people messaging me whether they should be shorting, no, not unless you know what you're doing. Bear market rallies can pump longer than you can remain solvent, and we're due for one. And this was basically the Pico Schmico low, and we actually made a new all-time high from here. So it technically was a bear market rally, but it made a higher high. It's kind of strange, but crazy. I mean, this is just a easy
farm,
million. Fucking Jesus.
Easy million is crazy.
Yeah, 500 Bitcoin short. Crazy. Entered my first Axie short. Similar, looks parabolic. Just shorting altcoins. It's true I'm retired, but I'll press buttons for another milli. This is just, the aura farming here is way too much. Sold all his punks at the Pico top. NFT season's going to follow spiral of typical degeneracy. Kobe had a really good tweet about this, which is NFTs were basically just altcoins with pictures. So why would they act any differently? And they were both very much right. I'm aggressively long BTC and ETH for now. Since I know people copy trade while I write, I'm now delta neutral. So he basically longed and then said he's delta neutral when it looked like it wasn't going up, I guess. Delta neutral just means flat. So whether he's not in a trade or he's perfectly hedged. Went long ETH yesterday, up 6 million, Jesus Christ. When it became clear to me there would be no sell the news on EIP 1559, a large player. It's difficult to scale your exposure to the NFT sector without laborious work of flipping robotos or mooncats all day. Might as well just long ETH. Yeah, this is kind of like a sentiment trade to an extent. Like, this could be similar to like when Trump got into office versus the day he got elected, or when the ETF got approved versus the day that it actually went live. Like, people oftentimes get these sell the news things incorrect. A lot of people thought the day that the ETF went live, we were going to see like a huge pump, right? When in reality,
the market already priced it in.
Yeah, the pump occurred when it got approved, and leading up to it actually going live, that was it getting priced in. Same thing with Trump. November 4th or 8th, whenever the election was, we went from 60 to 100. And then by the time he got in, it was already priced in, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, just Chadley shorted true. Parabolic, unlimited collateral is just an ungodly flex. But effectively what he's saying here is like, this move is not sustainable. It's going to retrace.
Yeah.
And he has so much money, he continues to go up higher. He'll hold his short, add to it, because eventually he's going to be right. You cannot play this game without a ton of money and some big old fucking coconuts. Heard a rumor around town that mysterious man made 8 figures on this shitcoin before flipping short. Doubt it's true, though. Probably just an old wives' tale. Found this floating around some group, and it's just like
it's just him, yeah. Bro, he's just a fucking insane aura farmer.
Yeah. Same thing. Oh, you thought it was over? Is this a gamer joke to you? And then just like the bottom on Shiba, pretty impressive.
See, this one is insane to me.
Imagine not owning at minimum 1 to 300 pudgy penguins. I'm thinking if you ever want to truly be wealthy and include in the elite chambers of finance and culture, penguins equal punks, Doge equals BTC. Story about last night. About 24 hours ago, I sensed a Pengu revolution was brewing, and I decided I wanted to buy 500 at the 0.5 ETH floor. This created a problem, though. How do you buy 500 penguins without brewing up a storm? Yeah, I mean,
was this pre-Luca? It's got to be.
I don't
right?
know.
It looks like it's pre-Luca.
I don't know what year this is.
Dude, if he fucking bought 500 pudgy penguins pre-Luca, he's a prophet. Like there's just like no other way. And then he
basically said that he had a fucking feeling, bro. Felt it in his plums.
And
he
then
sensed it. He sensed the Pengu revolution.
In the next slide, he basically talks about Pengu.
Yeah. The NFT communities issue governance tokens, accrue the benefits. Yeah, I don't know how this is aged though, right? Like, hasn't Pengu kind of fucking gone shit?
It's gone down only.
Yeah.
But like, so is the market.
I mean, predicting that this was gonna happen again, still insane.
4 years before Pengu was even mentioned is diabolical.
And then he closes it at the top, I think.
Oh,
pretty impressive,
God, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on all night, bro. I mean, this is just unbelievable levels of
let's
farming. Are there any
go till we find
specific
some
ones that you want to see?
I haven't gone past 53, I believe, so I'm down to just like.
I don't even know what number I'm on.
It should say in the bottom left.
69.
Okay. Blah blah blah. What did I tell you?
I mean,
it's a way of life.
like,
it's just insane.
Yeah, I mean, this is just unbelievable levels of ore farming. Here he's betting on who is going to win the French presidential election. Like,
wait, no, this is one of his like most insane things of all time.
Yeah, so he traded political prediction markets. This is what I said at the start, as a full-time job before getting into crypto. Like, I imagine he's probably, some would say I'm the GOAT. That's fucking insane. But this is what I imagine this guy is fucking probably like crushing on Polymarket or something, right?
So basically, I think the TLDR of this trade is that he copped the Trump percentage when it was an all-time low, like 8%, and was like, yeah, Trump's definitely going to be like at least an electoral candidate. So like, let's cop the 8%, let's close it at 60%. But he just ended up being right, and Trump just actually became the president. So at 8%, he moved in with size, and at 100%, he closed. He's just like insane predictor.
Yeah, I mean, it's just endless W after W after W here.
I'm interested to see if there's a loss here. Like, let's go near the end and let's see what his most recent shit is.
How many total?
There's like 119.
Are there? Okay. Ooh, gooning. GCR goon.
Swipe right? No, wait.
He's got the yellow fever.
Swipe right on the moon is crazy. Whoa, these are insane. I might go over those myself.
I got 800 on my math SAT. Like, bro, the man can't stop winning. Someone's got to nerf homie.
Bro, someone's got to nerf this guy.
Him. Maybe he's short or something. I don't know.
Bro, if he's over 6 feet.
It's unfair, right?
Yeah, like somebody's got to stop him.
Okay, let's see. We're at 90 something. Like, I don't think there's a single loss here.
I don't know if he's capable of losing at this point, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, closing is short at 10, big round number. Predicting the Russia-Ukraine war.
How do you predict the Russia-Ukraine war, dog?
It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, bro.
Bro, who is this guy, man? He predicted the war.
No way.
Yeah, bro, it says right here. Wait, go back. It is not a question of whether or not Russia will invade Ukraine. It is a question of when. Is whether Russia will be bold enough to occupy Kyiv. My money's on no. Dude.
What?
Who is this man, bro? This is insane.
No.
Man, let's skip to the end.
Just need to
crazy.
quickly with this.
Oh, Joe and the Juice type
condition.
shit.
Make condition.
Oh, type shit. Let's skip to the end. I'm down to go through like all these on my lonesome. I don't want to take up too much of your time. This is crazy. Sometimes you
This is
spend
something he called the tree of life. I'm pretty sure this image.
sometimes you spend something like 30,000 hours on a very particular and arcane edge that no one even thought to imitate until 6 months ago. You spend 4 years on it, tirelessly, pioneered it, and people will call it inside info because they lack the imagination or ambition. Dog, this guy is a fucking genius, bro. This guy is otherworldly.
Yeah, I mean, there's just levels to the game, bro. There's levels to the game. I consider myself pretty smart. I interact with guys like GCR, and I feel like I'm the stupidest person on the fucking planet.
I'd say if we were ranking them 1 to 10, I'd say I'm around 2 or 3, and I'd say you're around like 7, 8, and then we got GCR at like 11.
GCR is about a 25, dude.
Yeah, about a 26, dude.
This guy's not even on the scale.
Bro, he's not
Very
even.
cool, man. Well, thank you so much for going through this with me. This was fucking cool, and I just feel stupid and poor. So if that was the purpose,
Yo, we
hopefully some of you
accomplished
guys
it. We
learned
accomplished it.
something.
Yo, I'm fucking glad to, man. Honestly, absolutely sick having you on stream. Down to do it whenever. Feel free to hop
Anytime,
on. Dude, you're a fucking legend.